Life is hard enough when you're stuck in a 9 to 5, but it gets even worse when the boss you work for is nothing more than a barking dog who knows nothing beyond yelling at his employees. Meet Jin Song, who has suddenly started noticing these weird system windows that hint at an upcoming zombie apocalypse. But with the stress of his job, coupled with his boss's endless yapping, he doesn't even have the time to properly think about these otherworldly system notifications. The only thing keeping his sanity intact is the kindness his female colleague Seon Ah shows him. He often thinks about quitting, but with AI taking over remote jobs and unemployment shooting through the roof, he doesn't have many options to fall back on. That's when everything starts to change for the worse. Even in the dead of summer, snow begins to fall across the world, an unnatural phenomenon science can't explain. Things only get real when Jin Song finds a coworker feasting on another colleague's body. This is the moment Jin Song realizes he's royally screwed. His zombified coworker began chasing him, forcing him to run for his life. He spots a chair nearby, grabs it, and prepares to defend himself. But to my freaking surprise, in the next scene our boy is shown as if he is standing on the other side of the wall. Is that a glitch in the Matrix? Let me know in the comments. Even so, the encounter with a literal zombie is traumatizing. His knees give out, dropping him to the floor. Suddenly his phone rings. A message has been broadcasted. People are mutating due to a virus called rabies, so everyone is advised to stay indoors. This is a lot to process. Jin Song is sure as hell that some funny-sounding virus like rabies couldn't possibly turn humans into actual zombies. There has to be something far more incomprehensible going on. He checks social media where everyone is talking about zombies ravaging neighborhoods and snow falling in the middle of summer. That's when it all clicks in his mind. Maybe those otherworldly system windows he's been seeing are connected to these catastrophic events. He tries searching for any information about the status windows, but nothing useful pops up. Things only get worse when his phone glitches into a static screen and then loses connection entirely. Hopelessness begins creeping in. His mind feels numb, his body freezing from the atmospheric temperatures dropping unnaturally. Right now, his biggest problem isn't even the flesh-eating zombies. It's the freezing atmosphere he has to survive. He's banking on the idea that rescuers may arrive soon. To increase his chances, he decides to preserve his phone battery, which currently sits at 83%. Cautiously, he explores the building, hoping to avoid zombies. His first priority is to grab something warm to wear and food to survive. Luckily, he finds a set of clothes in a drawer which he dons on right away. Next on the list is food. Before long, he manages to score a bag, some spare clothes, water, and food to replenish himself. He's not sure whose bag this was, but he's grateful someone left it behind. Now the next step is to find a proper weapon to defend himself. After looking around enough, he finds some trusty golf sticks conveniently waiting for him to find them. With the supplies he has, he could last about 3 days. So the daunting question is, will rescue come before he starves to death in this unforgiving cold? The streets are crawling with zombies and monsters, and with the raging blizzard, it won't be easy for helicopters to reach him. If rescuers don't make it within a week, the only thing waiting for him is doom. Worse yet, the temperature is dropping faster than ever. And then another system window appears before his eyes. Inside the system shop, he sees a list of items. Winter clothing is among them. He desperately wants to acquire it, but he doesn't have enough system currency. Suddenly, footsteps echo nearby. He quickly gets out of his cozy, quiet corner and stands ready to deal with whatever is approaching. With the golf stick in his hands, he runs to find the threat before threat finds him. Just before he slams the golf stick, it turns out that it's just his coworker, Kim Juman. The introduction goes smoothly since they already know each other. Jin Song even happens to be this guy's senior at work. They sit down, and Kim Juman explains how he ended up here. During break time, he was stuck in the canteen. Hearing grotesque sounds outside, he locked the door behind him. When he finally tried to escape, he bulldozed his way out, pushing through zombies and forcing his way to the emergency stairs. But this isn't the kind of information Jin Song was hoping for. Not only does this guy have no meaningful info, but he also wants to leech off our boy's precious hard-earned supplies. Of course, Jin Song refuses, lying that he doesn't have much. Later, when our boy grabs the water bottle to refill it, his junior grabs his hand, and his vibe goes from friendly to suspicious. He starts sweating despite the freezing cold. It's as if he's seen through Jin Song's lies and wants him to confess. Thankfully, nothing happens, at least not yet. But Jin Song can't shake off the unease. He is wondering why that guy was sweating so much. I don't know about you guys, but I could already tell the bastard was infected. And sure enough, that bastard tries to ambush Jin Song from behind after turning into a zombie. But my guy reacts fast, smashing his water bottle into the bastard's face, then kicking him hard enough that he crashes into the nearby wall. It's unbelievable that just moments ago, this guy was talking like a normal human. So how could he turn into a rabid monster so quickly? But with survival on the line, Jin Song doesn't hesitate. He swings his golf stick hard and smashes it right over the zombie's head. He keeps going, just like you would with a cockroach, making sure it's completely squashed and done for. This is Jinsong's first kill since the apocalypse started, and it leaves him sweating despite the freezing weather. But it was worth it though, because his system suddenly responds to his kill in order to reward him properly. Having obtained his first coin prompts Jinsong to chant "open the status window." Inspecting the items in the store, he realizes that these coins can be used to purchase them. The neat part is that he'll practically earn 1 coin for killing 1 zombie. You might be thinking that it's pretty good, but our boy out here is dreading his life, thinking that he had to risk his balls off just to kill 1 zombie and earn 1 measly coin in return for it. Muddled in his thoughts, Jinsong's attention suddenly turns to the visible bite mark on the zombie's wrist. This visual cue confirms his thoughts, making him realize that the worst has truly happened. In the next scene, our boy is taking cover in a comfy blanket, realizing that even people who look fine can't be trusted anymore. In the midst of the hell he has to endure, he's just glad that a cigarette pack is comforting him. Yeah, I guess lung cancer doesn't really matter when zombies are out to get your ass. Jinsong is haunted by a feeling of uncertainty and thinks he should look for resources, when suddenly, a frightening roar startles him. Taking a peek at the window to check things outside, our boy spots a survivor trying to fight his way out of the horde. Unfortunately, the bloodthirsty zombies gangbang him in one scene and leave him in a state that is comparable to when my ex-girlfriend dumped me. Horrified, he moves back, realizing that he's in a real mess. A while passes, and Jinsong is practically trapped inside. It's already the 3rd day, he's running out of options, and his battery is at a critical 3%. As if that wasn't enough, bro basically has 4 chocolate bars left to save his life. Thanks to his observations from the window, Jinsong has learned one thing. People have helplessly tried to escape the zombies, but they're hunted down every single time. Even with those kinds of odds, our boy understands that the only way he's going to survive without starving himself to death is if he starts moving around. Fastening his bag, Jinsong starts removing the barricades, understanding that he's only going to put himself in greater danger by staying here. Right now, his best shot of survival is to look for other survivors within the same building, hoping that the power of friendship and cooperation will save him. Jinsong sets the 6th floor as his main target, wondering if Juman really did block the entrance according to his words. Suddenly, our boy hears something and immediately goes to the window. Except when he looks outside, there's nothing but the merciless cold. It's dark out, but there's a sign of lights, implying that some other person must have used the generator to turn them on. This confirms one thing. There has to be another survivor in the building. Knowing that the lights are about to go out at any moment, Jinsong rushes downstairs, knowing that his only chance of survival is to find the other person in time. As he's descending, Jinsong theorizes the location of the survivor. His best guess is that this person must be hiding in the management office or the security room. The best thing? They're both located on the same 1st floor, so it's going to be easy to transition. On the lower floors, there's even more cold. However, choosing precaution over his own comfort, our boy takes off his shoes to avoid making any noise. Arriving at the 6th floor, he decides to take the brave step of confirming Juman's words. Taking a peek inside, our boy notes that the entrance is in fact blocked, meaning the guy wasn't bullshitting around. Happiness shines on his face, because this means there might be more survivors in the building if it hasn't been invaded from the outside. But for now, Jinsong decides to leave the 6th floor and focuses on his mission to go down to the 1st floor. Arriving here, he has come to confirm a bunch of facts. First up, the zombies haven't really invaded the building's upper floors, but for the 1st floor, he knows that there's a great risk of those ugly freak shows lurking around. Clasping onto the door handle, our boy slowly opens to take a peek, begging and praying for there to be none. Unfortunately, reality is much darker. There's blood splattered everywhere, and just as expected, there are zombies tumbling around like the brainless savages they are. With an entire horde in sight, the situation is critically dangerous for our boy. This means he genuinely can't make his way outside, not with a horde this huge. The good thing is that the zombies haven't taken notice of the upper floors and are stuck on the 1st floor. However, with the way things are going, Jinsong fears that the door blocking them out won't hold up for long. Using this as his one opportunity to get the fuck out, he quietly slips towards the direction of the management office. Having arrived at the office only a moment later, Jinsong is unfortunately met with an unpleasant, tragic sight. In front of him is a corpse of a man, a really nice guy who always greeted him every morning, but because of the inhuman cold, he died from hypothermia. Deciding to let the guy rest, Jinsong shuts his eyes and offers a small prayer for his fallen companion. F's in the comments for his homeboy. Anyway, Jinsong continues his efforts to reach the security room, hoping that he'll find a survivor lurking here. However, he has to be cautious of potential traps set by the survivor, similar to what he did with the barricades. That's why our boy's first objective is to prove his innocence that he's not a mindless zombie. Turning his attention back to the freak shows lurking around, Jinsong observes that though these zombies are blind as hell, they're also pretty sharp on picking up sound. So, he calmly taps on the door, indicating that he's a human to the other person. Next up is the brave leap of faith as Jinsong slowly reaches for the door handle. But the moment he opens the door, something latches to attack him. It's not a zombie but a dude with a stick. Luckily, our boy manages to defend himself with the all-powerful Eater of Worlds, the Infinity Golf Stick of Destruction. But the sound made for their clash worries Jinsong because it's at risk of attracting the zombies. Meanwhile, the glasses guy over here is startled by what he sees. Luckily, the zombies still haven't caught on, causing the survivor to yank our boy into the room so he can quickly close it shut. It's the ultimate showdown, a golf stick user versus a wooden stick practitioner. Both confirm each other's status as a human, but still refuse to lower their weapons. Jinsong explains his situation, pointing out how he heard the emergency generator and came to search for survivors. Next, he even shows his badge as the assistant manager of one of the sales teams. Though he's found himself a survivor, he's worried for this guy to also turn out like Juman in the end. The glasses guy is actually also another assistant manager of the development team, Choi Jae-sung. The fact that this guy is covering his body tightly puts Jinsong on edge, because he's worried that Jae-sung might be using it to cover any bite marks. However, in this guy's case, he doesn't appear to be sweating, and only seems to be covering himself for the cold. Observing his surroundings, our boy takes notice of the guy's backpack, and then shifts his attention to the wooden stick. A contemplative and skeptical Jinsong suddenly reaches clarity. You see, infected people are abnormally hungry, and the fact that this guy is rationing his supplies indicates that he's completely normal. Jinsong offers his hand, putting the other guy on edge as he points his weapon at him. Our boy realizes that maybe Jae-sung is actually suspicious of him trying to loot his bag, when in reality, he didn't really want that to happen. Looking for a way to resolve the situation, Jinsong quietly puts his golf stick back and embraces a show of surrender. This way, he proves his innocence. Thinking of alternatives, he even decides to offer the other manager a cigarette to smoke. Reaching for his pocket, he takes out his pack and offers one to the guy, once again showing an interest in lying. Glasses guy is cautious at first, but eventually lowers his weapon. After giving it a thought, he agrees and politely asks if it's okay to smoke one. In the next scene, both of them are cozying up to each other. Despite the horde of zombies waiting to tear their flesh outside, at least they've got cigarettes over here to enjoy. Jinsong even jokingly remarks that he's had nothing other than a chocolate bar and a cigarette the entire day. This causes the other guy to actually rummage his bag, which confirms to Jinsong that he must have looted some items from the lounge area. The guy takes out some noodle cake and breaks it in two, advising his new friend to eat slowly and chew it properly. Our boy happily accepts and starts munching down on it. He sparks conversation, curiously inquiring how the development team's manager was able to get his hands on food. Jae-sung apparently looted what he could without taking the whole fridge, something that made both of them laugh. A short while after, they're both quivering in the cold while the development manager explains the situation on the second floor. Things are looking miserable there. Recalling what happened, he remembers feeling trapped with his colleague, forcing them to split the food. His friend insisted that they get the move on, while he preferred waiting for someone to save them. In the end, Jae-sung's friend got gobbled up by the zombies because of his impatience, leaving the guy to fend for himself. From this explanation, our boy realizes that there are more than just a few zombies on the second floor. Luckily, there are only 4 according to what this guy saw. In the end, he had to leave 2 out of fear of losing power. So he scavenged his way, weaseling out as slow as he could while creating a few distractions for the zombies. Jinsong is actually pretty impressed to hear that this guy managed to escape 4 zombies unharmed. Secondly, he learns that it was in fact Jae-sung who turned on the emergency generator. The guys also secured an extension cable for charging important electronics, but at this point, our boy is starting to question if any of their electronics even matter anymore. Jae-sung is actually pretty shocked to hear him admit that he hasn't been using the internet. Our boy expresses that he couldn't find a signal, but the development team's manager reveals that satellite internet works perfectly fine. Hilariously, the manhwa even references Elon Musk's latest Starlink project, which is the very reason the internet isn't an issue in this apocalypse. Jae-sung reveals that though not all servers are working, the internet still works enough for them to make use of it. All of this information is hitting our boy like a truck. He didn't even know this was possible. Being the chill guy Jae-sung is, he offers to let Jinsong's phone charge now that his own is finished. A short while later, Jinsong connects to the satellite network, confirming that stuff is working perfectly fine. He thanks his friend a ton for teaching him so much, but being the humble king Jae-sung is, he doesn't take any credit for it. Their hopeful moment is thrashed when they spot the lights going out. This confirms that the emergency generator is also done for good. Jinsong asks what this guy wants to do next, to which he replies that he's going to keep on staying here. Reading between the lines, our boy realizes that Jae-sung is basically telling him to leave. The thing is, this guy is just trying to preserve his own life in a safe environment. Having another person wasting his resources is only going to impose a burden on him. At the same time, even Jinsong thinks that their partnership wouldn't be beneficial because of their different mindsets. One of them wants to get going, while the other intends to stay in a safe environment. Naturally, our boy makes the first move, ensuring that there isn't any conflict between them and decides to leave. Before he heads out, his friend decides to offer him one last gift for the journey. He hands him a flashlight and a spare battery because he's got plenty of his own to work around with. This is an amazing development for Jin Song, who stocks them in his bag, thinking that it's going to help him in the long run. In return, our boy happily offers him a couple of cigarettes to enjoy. Both of them part ways on good terms, bidding each other good luck and hoping to meet again soon. With that, Jin Song heads outside, back to where the ugly freak shows are hovering around. He has to act before the power goes out for good. Taking note of the open door, our boy sneaks his way past the zombies and quietly pulls the door shut. He's out of danger now, and considers his options. First off, he could potentially navigate down the basement, knowing that his car is accessible there. That's one way to escape the danger after all. However, what concerns him is if it's really the right time to leave this building in the first place. Of course, it's true that he has to leave the building at some point, but leaving too soon might be equally as dangerous to him. That's why Jin Song chooses to go upstairs with his next goal of gathering information from the company before eventually plotting his escape. Unfortunately, it's here where the power completely goes pitch black, forcing him to be even more cautious. Maintaining his composure, he rummages to find his flashlight. Jin Song cracks it open, methodically making his way upstairs, knowing that the zombies could have switched positions in his absence. With careful steps, our boy makes it all the way to the 6th floor. It's here that he suspects the presence of a zombie. Despite the danger involved, he's come far enough that he can't turn back now. Steadying his resolve, he prepares the mighty golf club and reaches ahead. One particular zombie is making its way through the stairs in all of its chopped glory. Our boy is mogging and keeping his composure, until suddenly he sees the queen of chopped uglies and fidgets in fear. Bro literally ducks while this zombie turns into Supergirl and tries to jump his ass. Coming over with a bashful golf swing, this man smashes her head, leaving her smacked like a dead mosquito on the wall. But that's not enough to kill her, because it tries to spam attack the same move again, only for our boy to whack her face with his golf of destruction. This time the swing has knocked her downstairs, leaving a pool of blood. At this point, this man is practically begging her not to get up again. But for some reason, this persistent zombie still has the ability to squirm around. Jin Song's golf stick is hella bent from smacking the bitch around, and with a final prayer, he makes the killing blow, hoping to end the zombie for good. Thankfully, it's all over. The system rewards him with another coin, allowing him to purchase an item from the store. Jin Song, on the other hand, is panting in exhaustion, while his beloved golf stick has suffered irreversible damage. The slayer of zombie bitches can rest well, knowing it won our hearts. Back to our boy, he's pissed off and still decides to keep the weapon away for some other use later. His main focus now is to inspect the zombie, wondering where the hell it even came from. In the next scene, the guy checks the rooftop door, which appears to be locked shut. This implies that the zombie came from some other floor, hinting that not even the 7th floor is safe from harm. Quietly making his way, our boy breathes a sigh of relief. Seems like the 7th floor is fine. Taking a break, he chugs down some water, recalling just how ruthlessly fast the zombie was, arguably even faster than from the time it was a human. It was as if it had become a wild animal. Outside, he notices that there are 2 zombies hovering around. This is bad news, because if they're just as fast as the one he fought, it would mean that he's not going to survive 2 at a time. That's why Jin Song's excellent strategy is to isolate his opponents, taking on 1 at a time. Suddenly, he decides to take a peek at his phone, wondering if there's some new information on the zombies. Bro is out here really wondering if there's some kind of new zombie patch or some shit. There's a forum called the Survivors Gallery, where a bunch of people are posting from different regions talking about the insufferable cold conditions. They miserably talk about their own pitiful situation, instead of highlighting some new discovery on the zombies. Disappointed, Jin Song turns to his own findings. One thing is for certain, these zombies primarily use sound for detection and have terrible senses otherwise. They can't be killed until their heads are brutally destroyed, and the obvious fact is simple that one will turn into a zombie if they're bitten. But these facts are just something everyone already knows. With no new update on the forum, Jin Song highly suspects that the government has collapsed, meaning no one's coming for their rescue. It's a grim reality, leaving the survivors to persist on their own, in a world that has gone to hell. The scene cuts to the 5th day of the attempt to survive. The cold has gotten unbearably bad, even for our boy. He's at risk of getting sick, and in an environment like this, that practically guarantees death. Knowing that staying rigid is not helping, our boy decides to warm up with some jumping jacks. But after exercise, naturally his stomach is also grumbling. Though he'd normally only eat half a piece of chocolate, with the way things are going, he needs to eat more to survive. Munching on his bar, he decides to take off his shoes again in an effort to prioritize a lighter travel. His shoes definitely aren't helping him with the noise anyway, so they're pointless to carry. Right now, Jin Song absolutely needs to secure some food if he wants to survive. Using manager Choi Jae-sung's information, he recalls that some of the food should still be here in the lounge. Our boy suspects that it's in the same bag of the colleague who died trying to escape, which isn't really a good thing either considering what happened to him. First off, he's gonna have to solo 4 zombies, which is a cause for concern. It's not like he can steal the bag and escape undetected either. The logical and perhaps the only answer in this situation is to beat them one by one and secure the bag. So Jinsong starts trailing his targets, locating one zombie in room 1, another in room 2, a third in the business team room. But the fishy part is locating the final zombie, as it's nowhere to be found. Knowing that there weren't any corpses on the way to the exit, Jinsong understands that the final zombie must be lurking somewhere at least. But with these many fuckers ready to chew him down, he needs proper weapons to handle them accordingly. Checking one of the rooms, Jinsong learns that it's clear and decides to sneak his way in. The good thing about this room is that a quick scan shows him that a bunch of supplies are still available, even if there isn't any food. Outside, he already hears one of the zombies dragging about. Our boy clasps the flashlight between his teeth, grabs a cup to make the ideal distraction, and tosses it in the distance. Jinsong declares the start of his hunt, and the moment the cup hits the floor, the zombie lunges with incredible speed to chase the source of the sound. But it completely forgot that our boy was waiting for this golden home run. The zombie glances to its left, basically making the expression, "Oh shit, I'm cooked." Jinsong hammers the golf stick into its damn face, killing it instantly. The sound attracts the other zombies, but our boy quickly closes the door shut before they can barge their way inside. With this, he successfully cleared his first target. Jinsong's really happy, maybe a bit too happy, because he quickly forgets about the zombie sharing a room with him. The infected grabs his foot, indicating that it's still not dead. The sudden sensation makes our hero turn around in fear, only to see a crawling zombie clutching his leg and growling like some rabid dog. Hungry for a nibble, the creature lunges forward with its mouth wide open, while Song just stands there frozen in pure shock. The flashlight slips from his mouth and falls to the floor as instinct kicks in, and he slams his foot down on the zombie's head, pinning it firmly in place while it keeps drooling all over the floor. It stretches its arms out to grab him again, but he jumps back, now clearly irritated at the situation. Without a second thought, our hero swings his golf club down hard and cracks the zombie's skull, sending it straight off to the next life. When it is finally over, he just stands there beside the pool of blood, clutching his head as he tries to wrap his mind around what just happened. But before he can catch his breath, a hand suddenly slaps against the window right next to him, snapping him back to reality. He spins around in shock and sees a whole bunch of zombies trying to push their way inside, and in that moment, it suddenly hits him that there are still more of these freaks left. With no regard for personal hygiene, he puts the dirty flashlight back in his mouth and is determined to end this before more show up. Reaching the next room, he smashes his golf club through the window, which catches the 2 zombies inside completely off guard. Our hero then hurls a small metal object across the room, and both zombies instantly turn their heads. One of them rushes after it right away while the other remains standing, confused by what is happening. Song flashes his torch directly at the one still frozen in place, and the rest is history. Meanwhile, the backpack zombie dashes wildly around the room, even leaping over the desk to chase after the object, which turns out to be nothing more than a spoon. He turns around in confusion and runs at full speed, but our hero drop kicks him square in the back, sending him crashing to the floor. Wasting no time, he lifts his golf club high and smashes it down, sending the poor creature straight to hell. The final strike shatters his weapon completely while the system notifies him that he earned 4 more coins. A little downhearted at losing his weapon, he crouches beside the zombie to scavenge supplies. Song unstraps the backpack and slings it over his shoulders, feeling satisfied that it carries some actual weight. The relief is short-lived though, since he quickly realizes he is nothing but a damsel in distress without a weapon, and so he turns to leave the area in a hurry. Right as he is about to walk away, he stops himself. After going through all that effort to get here, it would be smarter to check the place properly. He recalls Jae-sung mentioning that the assistant manager had hidden in the break room and probably never had time to search the rest of the office. Going through each desk one by one, our hero's mood lifts when he uncovers a stash of supplements along with a power bank. Riding that small streak of luck, he pushes further and decides to check out the Development Team 2's office as well. But just then, a heavy thud echoes behind him. For a moment, he wonders if it is another zombie, but remembering he no longer has a weapon, he makes the quick decision to book it and live to fight another day. Our hero slips into a nearby room and hides behind a desk, hugging his backpack close. As he finally starts to calm down, he mutters to himself that it feels strangely comforting to be safe in a place as nerve-wracking as an office. Reality starts to settle in again, so he decides to go through the backpack and see what loot he got. After emptying the contents, he makes a list consisting of 3 bags of snacks, some ramen, cookies, and a can of Coke no gamer can live without. Our hero starts laughing like a lunatic and closes his eyes in peace as he thinks that with these supplies, he can surely last 30 days as long as he has clean water. Then his body starts to shiver, and the cold hits him again as the adrenaline finally clears out of his body, while his blood-soaked socks make him even colder. Our protagonist decides to wash up a bit, leaving his socks out to dry while he cleans the blood off his feet. He is annoyed at how cold the water is, as if he isn't in some world-ending disaster right now. However, he freezes the moment he notices some marks on his leg, his face turning pale from shock. He recalls the zombie at the start grabbing his leg earlier and feels relieved he won't be turning into one since they are not bite marks. Still unsure, he goes through the feed and comes across a post saying a person was fine days after getting scratched. He instantly cheers up and leans against the basin with a sigh of relief. Though his problems are far from over, because now that he washed his feet, the cold will give him frostbite if he doesn't warm them up. Our boy then opens up the shop menu as he recalls there were some winter clothes options available the last time. Looking at the expensive accessories, he feels irritated because it makes no sense to sell every item separately for 3 coins, or why gloves and shoes cost the same as an entire clothes set. Desperate for a little warmth, he decides to buy the boots first, which materialize right in front of him, as if this really is a game. He picks them up in surprise and slips them on to check the size, only to find they fit perfectly, almost like they were custom-made just for him. He quickly realizes boots alone are not enough to battle the cold, so he scrolls through the shop in search of more. After a round of doom scrolling through the endless items, he suddenly gets an alert and immediately thinks this might just be the one he needs. He buys a heat pack for 1 coin and he puts that on his feet to help them warm up again. Although he complains that 1 heat pack for 1 coin feels way too expensive, he still feels relief in the warmth and comforts himself with the thought that he will somehow survive the situation. By the 7th day, our hero learns that the water supply of the building has finally been cut off, so he quickly inspects his stash of water bottles that he had set aside for emergencies, and finds out that he has 2 liters left, which will probably last him 3 or 4 more days. He flops himself onto the countertop near the window and wonders why things always manage to get worse exactly when he finds the slightest glimmer of hope. Our hero then scrolls on his phone to check for any new info about the zombies, and finds a post by a user who claims that he is going to risk it by heading to the supermarket. An anonymous user asks if he is really going out, and he confidently replies that he already left and will post again if he makes it back alive, so the anonymous user cheers him on in support. After that, our hero sets his phone aside and feels sad that the number of posts is dropping day after day, which means that there are hardly any survivors left. He walks up to the window to confirm his suspicions and does not spot many humans outside, but he still holds on to the hope that people must be hiding somewhere. By the 8th day, he checks his phone only to see that an anonymous user had asked whether the adventurer ever returned from the supermarket, but even after a whole day, no response appeared under his post. The anonymous user assumes the adventurer died and quietly pays his respects. That makes Song angry, though he remains grateful that he still has enough food and water left to save if he can just make it out of the building alive. The only problem is that he cannot possibly last in the outside world all on his own, so he knows he must find other survivors in order to make allies. At that point, he discovers a fresh problem, since he cannot scavenge through different floors of the building while fighting zombies without a proper weapon, and he is now down to his last golf club, which is so flimsy that it will not last after knocking out more than a couple of zombies. So he opens the status screen and helplessly stares at the zombie skull-crushing hammer which costs 5 coins. But since he has only 2, he closes the screen and thinks that while it looks amazing, the hammer is too expensive, and he could just buy more winter clothes and heat packs for that price instead. Next, our boy focuses his attention on searching the 4th floor for useful items, but he suddenly notices something that makes him freeze in confusion. The entire scene is covered in blood, and there is not a single person in sight. Our boy notes that the bloodstains reek of zombie stench, which feels strange since he does not see any zombie corpses lying around. He can only wonder what might have happened there. When he tries the executive room door, he finds that it is locked. Song assumes someone could be hiding inside, so he presses his ear against the door and waits. After hearing nothing at all, he smashes the handle with his golf club and follows it with a solid heel kick that bursts the door wide open. Instead of survivors, he finds a mountain of corpses with at least 10 zombies stacked together. Seeing that, he questions what kind of beast could have done something like this, and whether his company ever had someone with this kind of monstrous strength. He understands the situation and sets a new goal of making that person his ally. After searching through the offices for some time and finding nothing useful, he realizes that the entire place has already been stripped clean. It dawns on him that the person must have taken everything beforehand. The level of thoroughness makes him wonder that an obsessive person could pull this off, and he even considers the possibility of there being more than one people. He cannot help but question if they are still somewhere inside the building. Just then, he notices a note jammed inside the water dispenser. Inside, the writer congratulates him on reaching the 4th floor, and then apologizes for taking all the supplies, while advising him not to waste time looking around. The writer goes on to warn him about the executive director's room, explaining that all the corpses had been piled inside it, and that a set of skirts has been left in one of the cabinets for anyone who might need them. Lastly, it gives a strong warning that the 5th floor should be avoided at all costs. The writer explains his plan to leave for an island on the west coast, where life might be a little easier. He even notes down the date and time, making our hero realize that if he had arrived a single day earlier, he might have met the legend himself. The writer turns out to be Yoon Hyuk-jae from the accounting team, and the man hopes to meet his dear reader someday. Reading that, Song instantly remembers the coworker, the same one he used to tease by calling him a special services agent. Everything makes perfect sense now, because it explains how Yoon was able to handle so many zombies on his own. Just as Song folds the paper, he notices another message written on the back. It states that Yoon left a gift in the drawer for his wife. Song's heart jumps at the thought of a hidden treasure, and he rushes toward the drawer, only to discover 2 lonely packets of instant coffee. At that moment, he realizes that Yoon pranked him hard. On the 10th day, Song sits by the window and enjoys a choco pie while reading the note again. He thinks to himself about the strange warning Yoon had left about the 5th floor. According to Song, that floor should not have many zombies at all, since it was where the CEO's office had been. Still, he does not question it too deeply, and convinces himself that Yoon must have had a good reason. His thoughts then drift toward the empty world outside, and he notices that he has not seen any survivors for quite some time. With every passing day, the possibility of meeting an ally grows smaller. He contemplates whether he should search through other floors, since he found no one the day before. While he stands there thinking over his options, a beam of light suddenly strikes his face, and Song quickly realizes that it's a signal from someone outside the building. He notices the other guy pointing at something and feels genuinely happy at the chance of there being other survivors. This immediately catches Song's interest, so he looks a little closer and spots the man holding up a sheet of paper, as he realizes he must be trying to communicate something to him. An idea sparks in his head and he digs through his pockets, pulling out the camera on his trusty Samsung phone and using the zoom feature. His quick thinking pays off as he manages to read the message, which tells him that there are still people alive in his building and they want him to team up. Our hero is overjoyed at the thought of other survivors, but for now he decides to focus on the people on the 6th floor. Picking up his remaining golf club, he makes up his mind to explore the area. Sometime later, he reaches the 6th floor and is caught off guard when he sees that the entrance is not blocked, wondering if the other people cleared the mess out of the way for him. He calls out to any possible survivors and introduces himself in a friendly tone, but no one responds. As he walks deeper inside, he realizes the entire room is a mess, almost as if someone was desperately searching for something. The place gives him a very bad vibe and makes him wonder if others had been here before him. Just then, a zombie tries to sneak up on him. Luckily, Song detects the danger at the last second and quickly jumps back while readying his weapon. The zombie still manages to push him down to the floor, trying to pin him down, while its filthy drool drips all over his face. Desperate to stay alive, our protagonist kicks it straight in the gut, pushing the zombie back just enough for him to get back on his feet. Song doesn't waste the chance as he rushes forward and delivers a powerful strike that sends the zombie crashing to the ground. The fight doesn't end there, and our hero immediately picks up a cabinet with all his strength and slams it down on the zombie's head, effectively sending it off to join its brothers in the next life. The system informs our hero of his 1-coin reward, and he remarks that it now feels more like a death bell than anything else. He looks around the area, convinced there should have been survivors here, and begins to wonder if the man across the building lied to him. Just then, he hears a click nearby which makes him spin around, and he realizes that it might not have been a lie after all. He calls out to the person inside, assuring them that he is not here to hurt anyone, but there is still no reply. He keeps trying and explains that he came here looking for partners, while the person inside grips the door handle tightly as if refusing to let go. Our hero continues with small talk, mentioning that he is part of the sales department in the building. With no response, he eventually readies his club to smash the door open, but before he can, a voice from inside suddenly calls out and asks if he is Manager Song. At that moment, the door opens, catching him completely by surprise, and the employee turns out to be Sion, who looks incredibly relieved to finally see a familiar face. Sometime later, they sit inside and begin talking about everything that has happened. Sion explains that last night someone had come knocking on her door and begged her to let him in, but she sensed something was off and refused. Once he realized she was alone, he tried to force his way inside, which made her retreat to the break room to hide. Within less than an hour, the man outside had turned into a zombie buffet and ended up converted into one himself. It then clicks for our hero that the zombie he just took down was probably that very man. Changing the subject, he asks her if she has any weapons, and she shows him a wooden spear. It strikes him as looking very similar to Jae-sung's weapon, so he asks if it was made from a mop. She confirms it and explains that she used a box cutter to sharpen it, turning it into a surprisingly useful tool. Our hero notices the dried blood on the tip and wonders if she has already managed to kill a zombie, but then quickly realizes how risky that would be and how much harder it is for someone like her to handle that kind of danger. Sion keeps talking about the details of her spear while our hero just studies her with a serious look, already convinced that women are practically handicapped in this kind of world. He knows zombies are one thing, but the real danger also comes from people as well not being aware of their surroundings. With nothing else left to do, our hero decides to leave, which makes the girl panic and grab his hand tightly. She hesitates while asking if he's really going, but he apologizes and says he has to. Her panic only grows and she tells him desperately that she doesn't think she can survive alone. He pulls his hand free and apologizes once more, but she clenches her fist and randomly says that she used to fence back in the day. That makes him very confused, but she insists it's true and lifts the spear with dried blood still on it, and she confidently declares that she's the one who took down the zombies on the 6th floor. She then faces him straight on and claims he'll regret leaving her behind. The words leave him too stunned to reply, and she quickly starts bragging that she once won a silver medal at the national festival. That instantly flips a switch in him, and he shakes her hand, agreeing to team up. Not wasting time, he hands her the backpack stuffed with all the supplies he collected earlier. Together they search through the entire room, and he tells her to start grabbing backup batteries. She looks confused and asks if the connections have already been restored. He calmly explains about Starlink, and that little detail makes her light up with excitement like a kid who just got candy. Our boy asks her how many zombies she actually handled, and she answers proudly that there were 8, not counting the one he finished off. Right after, she happily yells that she found the batteries, while he just stands there in shock that she managed to take down 8 zombies all by herself. Once they finish packing their things, she asks if they should head out now, but he tells her to hold on for a moment. His eyes narrow as he notices strange marks on the door, and he asks her what those are. Seon explains that the guy from earlier kept trying to break it down, though she isn't sure what tool he was using. Looking around more carefully, our hero spots a shiny object hidden under some papers. He picks it up in excitement, while the nerd girl casually remarks that it's a measuring caliper. He feels overjoyed to finally come across a sturdy metal tool that won't snap apart like those golf clubs, and quickly tests its weight in his hands. He mutters that it feels a little short to use as a proper weapon, but his coworker simply smiles and tells him that she already has a solid solution for that. Seona grabbed the caliper and did some arts and crafts bullshit to make use of its strength and extend its range. As securely as she could, she tied the heavy metal tool to the end of her trusty murder stick. The sharp edge is on one side, and the heavy caliper is on the other. It's a pretty useful double-sided weapon. You can strike like a spear and clobber like a caliper. The perfect invention. Seon was very pleased with her creativity. She's already showing that bringing her along is the best decision Song Jin-song will make. Maybe having more people doesn't mean more people to fight with. Being on a team could make great things possible. Afterwards, they did an inventory check on both of their supplies. They have a pretty even split of food, so they won't have to worry about that for a while. Among Seon stuff, there was a frying pan. She personally brought this thing to the office on the day of the apocalypse. She was supposed to get it refunded at the store she bought it from because of the color. With this thing, they could melt some snow for water. She embarrassedly averted her gaze. She's been using that pan for a different purpose. The handle is a little slippery. What could that mean? Changing the subject, she asked how Jin-song knew she was here. It felt like he already knew there was someone in the break room before Seon made her presence known. He confessed that he got the intel from the building across the street. Whoever they are, they used a light to get his attention and wrote a note about joining forces. He showed Seon the picture of the note, and she recoiled. Unlike Jin-song, she was quite skeptical of the message. Thinking about it now, rashly joining up with strangers is bound to come with a lot of risk and unpredictable factors. The reason Seon even pushed to form a team with him was that they already knew each other before everything went to shit. It's hard to find someone trustworthy in the apocalypse, even more so for a woman. She cannot possibly team up with just anyone. It is understandable. Understanding her reservations, Song Jin-song willingly forgoes the idea of joining the people from the other building. Seon was just glad that someone listened to her opinion. On another note, she shared that the deplorable manager Choi might still be alive. That pig boss is sturdy for real. She reckoned that he might be holding up on another floor. He was isolated with her on the 6th floor on the first day, but he managed to move. Seon locked herself in the break room, and the pig was in the bathroom. He demanded help, but she froze in fear and ignored his pleas. It took her a long time to open the door and find that the manager had escaped somehow. He probably left on the night of the 2nd day. Since then, Seon carefully surveyed the 4th, 2nd, and 1st floors. She looted a decent bit. Assuming that he survived and hasn't moved, the manager might be lurking on the 3rd or 5th floor. As the night deepened, Seon retreated to her corner, endured the cold, and dozed off. Song Jin-song feared that the neighboring survivors might reach manager Choi and team up with the fat fuck. They could grow their group and become a threat to him and Seon. Feeling himself spiraling to a hypothetical worst-case scenario, Jin-song shook his head and tossed away the uncontrollable external factors for now. To make himself feel better, he looked at his slowly rising coin count. Right now he can afford another piece of comfy winter gear. A winter hat would hit right about now. But before he could impulsively click on the buy button, images of Sion Ah's bruised feet flashed in his mind. The apocalypse is on, and bro is thinking about feet. She's at risk of getting frostbite. If she succumbs to that pain, she won't be able to move, just another dead weight. In many ways, giving her some comfortable boots is a logical choice. So, while his girl was sleeping, he was shopping to give her some boots. At the last moment, he balked and closed the shop window. He cursed himself for being a selfish asshole for not spending a mere 3 coins for a comrade and only thinking about his own comfort. Pushing that guilt deep into his mind, he justified that they don't have to move right away, so he can delay the decision for a little while. When morning came, he woke up to Sion Ah eagerly browsing on her phone. He asked if she had plenty of battery left, and she was caught off guard. Overnight, they charged the battery they found yesterday and set aside one for emergency. Looking at her phone's dwindling power, she brought up the fact that the company installed a solar power generator on the roof. He did not know that they had something like that, so he never bothered to check the highest floor. Sion Ah was briefly in charge of a support project linked with a small to medium enterprise. She was informed that the whole setup was installed, but a defect was found before it was officially sold, so the project was halted. She doesn't know the exact details of the so-called defect, but she's certain that it wasn't a big safety issue. Even though the solar power setup was just a trial version, it should still be useful. She was briefly in charge of the project, so she knows how to run it. With the prospect of a great resource available, Jin-sung enthusiastically agreed to check it out. The trek up the stairs went smoothly until they reached the rooftop door. They had to pool their strengths together to push the door blocked by a hefty chunk of snow. Of course, the rooftop would be a white, snow-filled hellhole right now. They turned around and looked at the highest point of their office building. Up there, the key to unlimited energy lies. Jin-sung looked around the place and finally found the attached ladder. He tried to pull it down, but the thing was stuck and frozen. The first rung of the ladder was quite high up. It would be hard to get on it. Bravely volunteering to be the one to go up first, Sion Ah asked for a boost. Thankfully, the whole platform wasn't too high, so all it took was a decent boosted jump to scale. Maybe it's because she used to be a decorated athlete, but her movements are so light and measured. Sion Ah felt around the platform, wiping the piles of snow away as best as she could, until finally, the solar panels revealed themselves under the pillowy surface. She excitedly relayed the news to her new partner. The panels aren't that big, so she can take them apart and lower them down. After a few minutes of tinkering, she secured the first piece and carefully worked with Jin-sung to retrieve it. They repeated the smooth process 3 more times. At the end of the day, they left the rooftop with 4 solar panels that could be a crucial resource. It was a tough and exhausting mission, but they pulled through with teamwork. Like Sion Ah claimed, the installation was as easy as pie. She finished it in just a few minutes. These panels are more effective outside, but they can't exactly leave it back up to a snowy field. With all the dark clouds perpetually blocking the sunlight, it won't be very efficient. From what she remembers, a bright sunny day could charge a phone to about 50%. The sun is barely out now, so they might as well test the current benchmark of their new panels. They left a phone plugged in for an entire day, and it only gave them 8% of juice. To charge the phone to full would take more than 12 days. That is not a good yield at all. Sion Ah's enthusiasm from the day before had completely evaporated. After all that effort and manual labor, they were rewarded with 8% of the battery. Jin-sung could not help but look at her shivering and bruised feet. He's just like me, for real. They already expected a bad yield, but being proven right is still disheartening. Looking on the brighter side, Jin-sung figured something out. He might have just come up with the best place to go if they ever decide to leave the company building. They won't have to go far. They can check out the company's logistics warehouse nearby. That place might have food and essential tools for survival. The problem is getting there. They could probably secure a car, but navigating the icy roads without a GPS might be a big problem. They could rely on phones to maybe draw a map on paper. Sion Ah assured him that they could go to the warehouse without a map. It's near her house after all. She often passes by that place when taking walks. Every passing day together, this woman keeps on proving that teaming up with her was the wisest decision. With an end-of-the-world partner and a goal, Sion Ah feels energized. This girl is not skilled and always game to take on tough tasks. She is pulling her own weight even with compromised feet. She never even coveted his winter boots. With that in mind, he made up his mind. It was a very odd question, but he asked for the size of her feet. He lied and came up with a story about how he saw a pair of boots somewhere earlier. Hearing this, her face lit up, and she willingly answered even though the reasoning had some glaring holes. She even volunteered to come with him and retrieve said boots. Jin-sung quickly ran to the door and asked her to stay put. He can't let her see his freaky ability just yet. After a few minutes, he came back with a pair of stylish winter boots that fit Sion Ah perfectly. Upon giving her the invaluable gift, the system prompted that a party was successfully formed. This is a new development. The system explained that coins acquired by a party member will be automatically added to Jin-sung's bank. That means forming a bigger team would bring more benefits. Gifting other survivors shop items might be the trigger. While he was lost in thought, Seon-ah wholeheartedly thanked him for the comfy boots. He was so focused on theorizing what other functions the system might have that he didn't even hear her. Seeing her hand phase through the system prompt snapped him out of his daze. Jin-sung excused himself as being just a bit dizzy due to hunger, and this sweet woman offered him something to eat from her stockpile. Pushing the mysteries of the system to the back of his mind, they went back to their spot to get some grub. Just like that, 14 days have passed since the outbreak, and the perpetual blizzard started. Their water supply ran out 3 days ago. The thirst is setting in. Today is the day to test out the pan and melt some snow. Seon-ah took charge of getting some papers to burn. Since there's a risk of spreading fire inside the building, they decided to light up on the rooftop. This practice also comes with a set of risks. If they light a fire outside, the smoke might attract some raiders hiding nearby. Those people usually move in groups. With the state of the world in chaos, raiders are bound to band together to commit all sorts of inhumane crimes. They will steal, murder, assault, and commit sexual violence to their rotten heart's content. Jin-sung wanted to hold out on making a fire to avoid drawing attention from the wrong people, but they don't have a choice anymore. Using a lighter, they lit up some office documents and piled them up on a metal drawer box. They haven't felt this warm in a long time. For a minute, Seon-ah and Song Jin-sung shared the comfortable warmth of the pyre. They put some snow on her treasured pan and managed to melt a decent amount of water. Desperate to get some fluids in their body, the two shared a cup of warm water. It's been so long since they had a drop of drinkable water, let alone something warm. Seon-ah was moved to tears. She was starting to forget that such warmth existed in this cruel world. They shared a cozy evening, glad that they didn't give up and found each other. Little things like this can fuel the hopeless to hold on just a little longer. The night quietly passed, and day 15 of survival arrived. Seon-ah woke up first and gently nudged Jin-sung to open his eyes. She noticed something on the other building and pointed it out to him. That guy who's been watching from the other side has sent another message. The note said that the other survivors are coming to them. To be precise, they are crossing over to join forces. This news gave Jin-sung a jolt to his senses. The note was given just a moment ago. This will surely complicate things. Seon-ah saw the group moving busily, so they'll probably reach this floor soon. They might have seen the fire last night. There's no way to be certain if they are friendly or a pack of opportunistic raiders. They might be a dangerous bunch. Surveying the building's entrance, a bunch of men clad in winter clothing and equipped with blunt weapons came out. For now, Seon-ah and Jin-sung decided to pack their things and ditch their spot. Those neighbors even have wooden shields to deal with the roaming zombies on the way. They are moving faster and more organized than expected. The three were handling the undead very systematically. They would lure the brainless beasts with sounds, isolating targets one by one, and killing them swiftly. At this rate, they would scale the office building within 10 minutes at most, 15 minutes at the latest. The duo finished packing, but they had already wasted quite a bit of time. The neighbors were doing really well until they messed up and lured way too many zombies to deal with. Realizing their mistake, they pushed forward and ran towards the building. Since a bunch of zombies are hot on their heels, the guy wielding a demolition mace smashed through the glass to make an entrance.